Well, 7:13, Make Way for Ducklings is one of the most beloved children's books of all time, especially here in Boston for obvious reasons.
Did you read it to your kids?
I did.
Yeah, everybody does. I think they revoke your license.
A friend of mine got me a really nice one for my kids when they were first born.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, a nice little keepsake.
I love that. Well, now that very book is getting a makeover as a musical. Sarah Underwood is live at the Wheelock Family Theater at Boston University, and the play's having its world premiere, Sarah.
It is, and this stage is really incredible. Take a look at just how colorful it is and all the references to Boston. You see the State House right there, and remember the cute little 8 ducklings that you see in the public garden. As so many of you know, Robert McCluskey wrote the story of Mr. and Mrs. Mallard back in 1941 and how they wanted to save and give their little ducklings a great place to grow up. Well, this has now been made into a musical 81 years later. It's a musical and energetic version of an iconic story. 2 ducks searching for a home in Boston for their growing family. Make Way for Ducklings is an award-winning children's book and is one of the best-known stories for kids, particularly here in Boston.
It definitely takes some gumption, and the story is, we're thinking about this as an ode to our city of Boston, a celebration of our community.
Emily Rainey is the artistic director for the Wheelock Family Theater. She says because the story was written so long ago, it did require some updating. In the book, Mr. Mallard goes off right after the ducklings are born, leaving Mrs. Mallard to raise them alone.
So in this story, Mr. Mallard stays, and in staying, Mr. and Mrs. Mallard have to learn how to co-parent together.
At times, tension erupts between the married couple, a vibe that the ducklings pick up on. And that becomes a teachable moment in the play, revealing the power of kindness.
And really, that's the most important message of all for anyone at any age to learn. I think it's really delightful for kids to realize that their parents are human, or in this case, ducks, and fallible in that regard, and see that they're learning right along with them.
I mean, I get to play a duck on stage. I mean, that was excitement number one.
Becky Bass plays Mrs. Mallard. With all the arm flapping required for this role, she says playing a duck required more training than you might think.
You know, 6 hours in the gym every day, no. Honestly, it was just rehearsal. You know, we practiced, we had duck school, that's what we called it. So we practiced flying, we practiced waddling, we practiced swimming. I was like, all right, we gotta figure out when are we gonna land because these arms, yes.
Playing a duckling is particularly poignant for Sullivan McStravick, a 7th grader from Sherborne.
My mom read it to me many times. I remember I even went down to the public garden to ride the duck statues and everything, so I'm very familiar with the book.
So the world premiere took place right here at the Wheelock Theater here in Boston, and it runs through the weekend, just in case you're wondering and want to get a ticket. Next stop is Orlando.